All right, we are back in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 with our next episode. I can't remember. I think this is officially episode, even though we have 3 parts episodes, episode 9, I think. As I'm recording, this is Friday, January 23rd, 2026 at 7:02 p.m. Eastern Time. We are taking off from Boqueron, Puerto Rico, something like that is the airport name, and we'll be flying along the southern coast of Puerto Rico. Eventually kind of flying southeast. Let's go over to our map here. Zoom out a little bit. We'll be flying along the southern coast of Puerto Rico, and you can see eventually we'll get to those other islands and get down to South America, but that's far in the distance. We're just trying to get to the end of Puerto Rico probably today in our 3 parts. Part 1, well, all 3 parts, we'll be listening to the Tony Kornheiser show as we've done in the past. We'll be listening to the shows from Monday, January 19th, Wednesday, January 21st, and Friday, January 23rd. First part, this segment here, we'll be listening to the Monday, January 19th episode of the Tony Kornheiser show. Things going on in sports. Tomorrow, my Nebraska Cornhuskers still undefeated in men's basketball, which is crazy to say. They're ranked 7th, which is probably too low, though they'll have some losses coming up. One could be tomorrow. They play at Minnesota at noon, so that could be a tough game to win. Then they've got a game at Michigan, who's in the top 5, so that's very tough. So we probably got a couple losses coming. Illinois comes to town right after that, so we might lose a few. But for right now, they're still undefeated, 19-0, which I'm very happy about. We got the NFC and AFC championship, AFC and NFC championship games starting both on Sunday to see who goes to the Super Bowl. Bunch of other good college basketball, and I guess NBA too, if you're into that sort of thing, which I'm really not. I like the Knicks, but they've kind of hit the shitter recently. But as we take off here, let's get you ready for the Tony Kornheiser show for Monday. Make sure you subscribe to this show. It's incredible. I always say it's incredible. It is. It's a really good show. Whether you like sports or you just like to hear an old man complain about things, it's always entertaining. So let's get to that Monday show for the Tony Kornheiser show as we take off here.
Hey, it's Tony. If you wonder Wilbon's reaction to the Bears' loss in overtime to the Rams, you're going to have to wait since he's flying back from Chicago. So we'll talk about all the NFL games with Dan Graziano. We'll also talk to Pat Forty about what to expect in the college football championship game tonight. But first, commerce.
Avoiding your unfinished home
skill set.
Dump, FedEx Field, just keep it whole.
Dump.
Metro accessible.
It's a dump.
That's the worst.
Okay, it's a slapdash dump.
Yeah.
And don't blame Dan Snyder for this. This is Jack Kent. This is Squire.
Yeah.
Now, people stopped going to it in the last 10 to 12 years because they hated Dan Snyder and they hated the building.
Yeah.
The building's hateable. The building had raw, flowing sewage in the suites. Come on.
The expired beers.
Come on.
Yes, all of it.
Off.
The Tony Kornheiser show is on now.
I had a bad weekend. I couldn't play golf on Saturday. The course was closed. There was snow.
Yeah.
Snow on the greens. I mean, it snowed a little bit here. It didn't snow.
Conversational.
Yeah, it didn't snow appreciably. There was no snow on the ground, but there was snow on the greens.
So no sledding?
No, not for me. I love that commercial with 3 old women.
Yeah.
I love that. People I went to high school with, I'm sure. So I couldn't play. And then yesterday, Al Serafino and Al booked time in the simulator room. But the equipment didn't work well, and we were playing a course called Kinsale. I didn't know it, but Al...
Send the course record?
Yeah, well, I wasn't. I was barely hitting the ball into the air, but I only took about 8 or 10 shots, and then it just kept defaulting. It didn't work, so all I did was watch.
I'm sure there's an automatic update for that.
Yeah, it didn't work. I watched a lot of football, and I was upset, and, no golf. It happens every once in a while. You never should expect to be able to play golf in January.
It is January, yeah.
You should never expect it. It's always good. So, what else did I do? I landed on UConn against Georgetown.
Oof.
Which I thought, because people I know who went to Georgetown said that's a 40-point game. No reason to go. Why would I go?
Yeah.
It was 3 with a minute to go. And Georgetown played very well. Connecticut never pulled it. Connecticut won the game.
Yeah, but just by...
Never pulled away. So whoever didn't go to that one may have made a mistake, and I won't mention any names. What else? Kevin Stefanski gets the Atlanta job. Wilbon thought the Atlanta job was the best job. He doesn't like Kevin Stefanski.
No.
But Kevin Stefanski has the Atlanta job. Indiana and Miami is tonight.
Yes.
Everybody is going to watch it. We're on an hour earlier on the PTI show today.
Nice, get done earlier.
Yeah, clear us out of the way to get ready for the college
The early
game.
bird special.
It's fine, yeah. I mean, that's what we are. We are the early bird special tonight. That's fine. I don't mind that. I will say this, because I made a big deal about this in college, and I'm going to explain the difference. It's pretty easy. In the NFL, there were 2 bye teams, the 2 number 1 seeds. Seattle was the number 1 seed, and Denver was the number 1 seed. Seattle in the NFC, Denver in the AFC. Both of them won. In college, bye teams don't win. Indiana was the only bye team to win in 2 years. 7 of the 8 bye teams lost. And here's the difference. In college, you're sitting out 30 days.
Yeah.
Like 30. In the pros, you're taking a week off. You're having the bye week like you had in the regular season. You know, it's okay. You're not sitting and sitting and sitting. There's no inherent advantage to the team that played last week to play again this week against the bye team. If it's 3 weeks, it's different, but in 3 weeks, you're sitting out 1 week. And then the most amazing thing happened with one of the teams that won in the bye week, and that was Denver. Denver lost their quarterback. Denver is playing against Buffalo. I think, me personally, I think there were 2 pass interference calls at the end of the game that were terrible, and they determined the game.
The first one worse than the second.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. Terrible. You know, it's a 30-yard call. It determines the game. And I thought that the pass that went up from Josh Allen to his receiver, when the receiver lands on the ground and then the ball is taken from him, I thought personally that should have been a catch and down by contact. Okay, so none of those things worked out. Denver, all of the calls went to Denver. And you say to yourself, well, Denver's had a good team. And Josh Allen, who may never get to a Super Bowl, he's a great, great, great player, but he had 4 turnovers.
Yeah, he did.
He personally had 4 turnovers. He probably had the worst playoff game he's ever had. And so you feel badly for him in that regard. But then you find out, wait a second, what? Bo Nix broke his ankle? And then they show the play a couple of times, and you don't see anything?
And he stays in the game.
He stays in the game.
So where exactly was it, in terms of plays before the kneel down?
I thought they did 2 full plays after that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And he's walking around with a broken ankle.
Yeah.
And then Sean Payton has to announce he's broken his ankle. He's out for the season. The season's in 1 game. The season. So they go to a guy named Jarrett Stidham. You may have heard of Jarrett Stidham. He was drafted 5, 6, 7 years ago by the Patriots.
Yeah.
And when Tom Brady had left, there was some sense that Jarrett Stidham was going to be the quarterback. He didn't become the full-time quarterback.
No.
In some sense, he'd be the quarterback.
Might have started a game.
Yeah, and everything would be fine. He hasn't thrown a pass in the league in 2 years.
Yeah, 2023.
I
wonder
mean,
what incentive he has for starting a playoff game.
Yeah, look, here's a guy he's gonna start the AFC Championship game. Because I don't think the rules permit you to go get, I don't know, Phillip Rivers.
I was going to say
I don't think you can do it.
Tom Brady.
I don't, John Elway.
Yeah.
I don't think you're allowed to do it.
No.
So you got to go with what you got. And I mean, to me, this is an enormous advantage for New England. And you say, well, New England has to go on the road. Denver's weather, even at its worst, is no worse than New England's weather just the other day.
Yeah.
It's not any worse than that. That's not going to have an effect on them. They're not Miami.
Plus, you probably got a book on Stidham since he was in your facility.
That one doesn't feel like a real game, does it? No, it seems that New England will win that game. I'm not talking about point spread, just win the game. The other game is going to be Seattle against the Rams. They've played twice this year. They are the 2 best teams in the NFC. But what happened yesterday with the Chicago Bears, it's unbelievable. Now you're going to say, well, we'll talk to Wilbon. No, Mike's in the air. Mike's flying. We're not going to have Mike there. We're going to have Dan Graziano. Dan Graziano's going to
Wilbon needs some space today, I think.
But I sat there. I don't usually stay up. I stayed up. I watched it, and I simply typed to Wilbon 3 words: unbelievable, unbelievable, inevitability.
Yeah.
I thought they would win. I thought they'd win in the overtime. I thought they'd win. Now the kid throws a pick, and they don't win in the overtime.
Got a little chesty after that 4th down.
But that 4th down play, I'd like you to tell me what's a better play that you've seen. It's the end of the game. It's their last chance.
Yeah.
It's the playoffs. The winner goes to the NFC Championship game. It's 4th down and whatever. It's not 4th and 3. It's 4th and more than 10.
Yeah.
And he begins to run the other way.
Turns around.
He begins to run out of the stadium. And then somehow finds an open receiver, Komet, in a tight end in the left corner of the end zone. How can he be open?
It's wide open.
How can he be open? How can that pass? It's the easiest pass he's ever caught in his life. It's you just say to yourself, wow. What? It's a wow.
Did you see the cornerback's reaction right afterwards? Immediately started pointing fingers at the people.
Everybody, yeah.
What are you pointing at somebody else?
It was you.
It was you.
That was your man.
You're supposed to be covering him.
You can't let that happen. You know, you can't.
That was
just amazing.
Just brutal.
Of course they're going to win. Of course they're going to roll to the winner.
And they didn't win.
No.
Because look, let's talk about quarterbacks in their 2nd and or 3rd year. C.J. Stroud was awful.
Oh, terrible.
Awful. He was great as a rookie. He's still a young quarterback, and he was terrible yesterday. Drake May wasn't any good yesterday.
No.
People talk about Drake May as the MVP. Drake May wasn't any good. Now, this is bad weather.
Yeah.
This is bad weather. And in the Rams game, Matthew Stafford's going to be the MVP. He wasn't any good. He wasn't any good. He was sailing balls. There was wind. Matthew Stafford missed passes by distances that you say to yourself, was that Matthew Stafford?
Right.
Because he's a great quarterback over a long period of time. So Caleb Williams is going to throw interceptions. Caleb Williams is going to make mistakes. He's not the most accurate passer. But to me, there are 2 plays that stood out this year, one in college and one in the pros. The college play was the Indiana pass against Penn State at the end of the game that won the game and kept them undefeated. That Fernando Mendoza threw at the back of the end zone. Great catch. Just a great play. I thought, when I saw that, I thought that was him announcing his Heisman Trophy. And then last night, I mean, what did you think when you saw it?
It was unbelievable. You can't imagine how he even gets that off, because you just assume somebody is going to sack him because he.
4 guys are chasing.
So for the first 5 yards, like, okay, it's sort of a baseball play. He's an outfielder tracking down a fly ball, and then he keeps going. And you don't even know how he's able to get enough air under it to get it to the end zone.
He's going backwards.
And it's a perfect pass.
Yeah. It's just truly unbelievable to me.
So for that game and then the Saturday night game, they both have these, they're overtime, they're exciting in the last minute of regulation, and they just have these empty, hollow feelings to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be rooting for the Bears at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting here. I'd said on television 6 weeks ago, I thought the Rams were going to be in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I'm invested in the Rams, and I'm rooting for the Bears. I'm rooting for Wilbon at that point. I'm rooting for Wilbon. Was this the 8th time? Well, they didn't actually win it. It was the 7th or 8th time they were behind in the last 2 minutes of the game and either won it or now tied it.
Yeah.
Do you think they even thought about going for 2?
I was wondering about that.
To try to win, would they go for 2? They didn't. Ben Johnson didn't go for 2.
No, you almost think you've got all the momentum. Just do it right now.
Well, I guess they were educated by the fact that every time they went 4th and 1, they got stoned.
Yeah, and they had just been down at the goal
line.
They
were losing yardage on those.
Yeah.
So
maybe not.
It's a safe play, but.
Yeah. Yeah, it is safe.
I mean, there had to be a moment where, and I don't want to put thoughts in Wilbon's head, where he's thinking about flights and what restaurants in Seattle he's going to go to, because you're going to go.
Yeah.
Just cruel.
So at one point, at many points rather, I've talked about Coach of the Year in the NFL. Those votes are all in. And has nothing to do with the playoffs. The votes are all in. But for me, it was going to be Vrabel or Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen. And then in the last couple of weeks, a lot of people mentioned Kyle Shanahan because of what Kyle Shanahan had done with San Francisco, given a tremendous amount of injuries to San Francisco players. I'll just say this. Shanahan's out. Liam Cohen is out. Ben Johnson is out. Mike Vrabel's still in. Mm-hmm. He's still in. So I had always thought it'd be Vrabel, and now I'd be very comfortable making the vote for Mike Vrabel. But Mike Vrabel on the sidelines, to me, inspires confidence. I mean, he's a guy who, if he has to, will put on a helmet and go play himself.
Was it the other week?
Tough guy.
He looked like he might have needed a hat yesterday in the rain, in the snow, but
he didn't care.
I think it was the other week he headbutted one of the players.
Yeah.
You know, it has like
Drew blood.
Broke his lip.
Yeah.
My understanding is that he and D'Amico Ryans are pals. And they coached against each other, and that was a good game.
It was.
Now,
it was a sloppy game, but it was an entertaining game.
Yeah.
By the way, I have the spreads for the games.
Oh, I have to believe that Denver can't be the favorite even at home.
New England giving 5.5, and Seattle giving 2.5.
But Seattle should be favored.
Yeah, I just thought
Seattle's at home.
Thought it might be a little bit more because it looks so dominating.
Well,
the Rams are good.
And the Rams are really good.
Yeah.
They're very familiar with one another. It's probably not going to be snow and ice. Probably not. You don't know. All right, we will take a break. When we come back, Dan Graziano will explain every game that went on over the weekend. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
Hey, Sal. Hank?
World wants to curl up indoors and do nothing.
I didn't know there could be so many rules.
This is a song called No Rules. It's by a woman named Dana Denise. This is sent to us by a friend of hers, Dan Bray. It says, I'm submitting these songs on behalf of my friend Dana, whom I'm related to by office space. She's a very talented local singer-songwriter with an amazing voice. We share an office, so Dana's familiar with the show, being that I'm a loyal little and all. I force her to listen whenever we're working together. She's not a sports fan, but she finds the pod mildly amusing. I wanted to say she thinks the show stinks, but she thinks that's rude despite my urging that Mr. Tony would love it. This is the first of two songs today. It's called No Rules. Plays in Georgetown's own Dan Graziano. I made a list of questions yesterday, and I was going to start in chronological order. I was going to start with the Denver game until the most amazing pass. I don't know, given the stakes, given everything around it, I don't know. I don't want to say it's the most, although I just said it was the most, but I haven't seen anything more impactful or more surprising. He's alone in the end zone. It's when you saw that, what did you think that Caleb Williams had made that pass?
Impossible. I mean, just impossible. Like, I was actually doing a live radio interview at the time about the Patriots-Broncos game that I had covered.
Right.
And I was watching. They called with like 2 minutes left in Chicago. I was like, oh, you guys, how could you call now? And so I'm on the phone on live radio when it's happening, answering some question about, the Patriots defense. And I just like you guys got to stop. We got to talk about what just happened. It was unbelievable. He's 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's cooked. It's over. The season, not the play, the season is over. And he throws that ball. And it's just, I mean, what's amazing about Caleb Williams is he throws that ball, and it doesn't feel like a prayer. It feels like this is a throw he can make. No one else can, but he can. And so is somebody going to catch it? And sure enough, I mean, it was astounding. It's a shame that they couldn't cap it off with a win. It reminded me of a baseball game I covered years ago. It was Mets-Cardinals in the 06 NLCS, and a guy named Endy Chavez went over the wall to make a catch, and the Mets ended up losing the game anyway because Mets. And but I think like that was one of those moments like they have to win the game now, and they didn't. But the result is, I mean, God, I cannot wait to watch Caleb Williams' next football game, whenever that is.
Now, I know he has a lot of interceptions. I know he's not the most accurate passer in the world.
He's the least.
He's a winner. He's a total winner. But the other question is, if you are the Rams' defensive coaches, well, how can Kmet be? How can he be alone? I mean, there's a guy 3 feet from him. Where is the defense there?
Yeah, I mean, you hear defensive players talk about that all the time. Like when a quarterback can extend a play at that level, like to continue to cover, to continue to plaster, is the challenge, and it doesn't always hold up. We had next-gen stats on that throw, and it said time to throw 5.86 seconds. I mean, like, Aaron Rodgers throws 3 passes in that amount of time post snap. Like it is a 5 point. That's an eternity. So you're asking your defense to cover everybody for 6 whole seconds, and something's bound to slip. The miracle is not that someone popped open. It was that you have a quarterback that can make that throw. And yet, worst completion percentage in the league among qualified quarterbacks this year. They have to improve that, no question about it. But my goodness, sure, I'll take it. Like, I will take that mission, improve that. I have a guy that can make any throw. And by the way, a guy whose pulse just drops in the moments when everyone else's goes through the roof. Like you have an elite competitor. If you can just iron out the imperfections in his game, I don't see what the ceiling could possibly be there.
I just had a small question. I have this about every coach all the time. Because D'Amico Ryans, for example, didn't go on 4th down when I thought he might have, even though it was 4th and 10,000. McVay went on 4th and 1 at 10 to 10 in a game where it's snowing, and if Matthew Stafford is sailing the ball, everybody's sailing the ball. Were you surprised he went on 4th and 1?
I guess I'm never surprised on 4th and 1 anymore because these guys have the data that supports it. But
it's a field goal, and you're ahead at that point. You're ahead.
Yeah, you're ahead. But then look, then what? Like you have to stop the miracle touchdown. Better to have the ball in your hands and end the game that way, if possible. So I think that's just become sort of the conventional wisdom on a lot of levels. Again, it's all supported by the data that they all have to base these decisions on in the moment, and they all have people in their ears saying, hey, here's what we're doing. And they say it before 3rd down. If we don't get it, we're going on 4th. So if it's less than whatever, 5 yards, 3 yards, whatever. So call your 3rd down play accordingly, and that's kind of the operation.
So let me get to the game that you were at. You were at the Denver game in Denver. Me personally.
No, I was at New England.
Oh, okay.
Still in New England.
All right, well then I'm just going to go to Denver because I'm sure you watch it. You have to watch all of them. I thought Denver got lucky with 2 pass interference calls. I just thought they got lucky, and I thought they got extremely lucky on a play that I thought was a catch. And then the ball was wrestled out of somebody's hands. And, on the exact same play in the Rams game went to the Rams. And in this game, it went to Denver instead of Buffalo. What are your thoughts on what you saw there?
Well, I've had multiple officiating experts explain to me the difference between those 2 catches. Which is, again, the explanations make sense. Basically, there hadn't been a football act committed post-possession by Brandon Cooks, so the ball is still live once it moves. And that happened in the Rams Bears situation. So there is a distinction. And again, it's easy to find. There are plenty of people writing about this online that have, that have expertise in the field that exceeds mine. So if someone's interested, it's out there. The pass interference calls were correct. I mean, I think the first one was one that if they let it slide, I don't think anybody would have been critical. Yeah. But it was, you could also call, and the second one I thought was pretty clear. I mean, he's grabbing his arm, he's holding it down. So it's unfortunate to see the game decided on penalties. But I also think, you're Sean Payton on that sideline. You've already, in your career, been, cheated out of a trip to the Super Bowl by a pass interference call that wasn't made. I think if you're the Broncos and Sean Payton, I don't think you're apologizing for that. I mean, if the interference isn't committed, the ball's probably caught, which is why the penalty is a spot foul. So, it's unfortunate. It's unsatisfying to see it end that way, but I do think those calls were correct. The one about the catch, and I understand Sean McDermott being upset, and I woke up yesterday morning still thinking, did Brandon Cooks really not catch that ball? There's legitimate and believable explanation for why it's not ruled a catch according to the way the rule is written. So incredibly unfortunate for Buffalo, but they turned it over 4 times before that.
Josh Allen, 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
That's when you say to yourself, he's never going to get to the Super Bowl. He's a snake bit guy. And he's a great player. He's a great player.
Yeah, and he's never had this playoff game before. When they lose in the playoffs, it hasn't been his fault. He's been a great playoff performer, and that's true. But obviously Saturday doesn't fall into that, and that's why you saw devastated Josh Allen after, because he knew he had missed an opportunity.
How is Denver supposed to win 2 games without its starting quarterback? Yeah. And by the way, were you like me? You had no idea he broke his ankle because he got right up and he played the next 3 plays.
did the on-field post-game interview with Tracy Wolfson or what? Like, I mean, yeah, there was, and for Sean personally, like just knowing coaches and press conference, like I'm shocked Sean told everybody as opposed to like dragging it out and trying to keep it secret until they were back on the practice field Wednesday. But yes, shocking. I mean, like you're watching, first of all, the way the game went, the way the game ended. Second of all, another game has now started, and Seattle's already returned the open kick for a touchdown. And now Sean Payton just said what at his press conference? Like, is this possible?
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, Tony, I could imagine a plausible scenario in which Sean Payton comes up with some genius game plan this week and gets the kid ready to go, and maybe the Patriots make a couple big mistakes, and you steal one at home and go to the Super Bowl.
Not two.
To your point,
Not
right,
two.
2 weeks later to beat Seattle or the Rams again, it's hard to imagine. And it's a shame. I mean, I know it means a lot to Sean, the chance to become the first coach to win the Super Bowl with two different teams. That's a big thing for him. And obviously, if he doesn't do it this year, he still can. He's got that program in a good place. But, yeah, they have to feel like something's been taken away from them.
Seattle, totally convincing. This is twice in a row in just a period of 3 weeks, so we don't have to dwell on that, right? I mean, Seattle,
right.
You know, unless Sam Darnold
ran out of guys, they were done.
Yeah, unless Sam Darnold sees ghosts again, and we haven't seen that yet. With this team. So let me get to the game that you were at, because that's really the de facto game for the Super Bowl now that Bo Nix is out. Again, Ryan's had fourth and forever. It was fourth and forever, but he punted. What were your thoughts on that?
You mean late, like at the end?
Yes.
The last time they had the ball? Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I couldn't understand why you would punt. I mean, I went into the Patriots press conferences and locker room after because we're covering them again next week. So I'm trying to gather stuff, but I don't know. I haven't seen the explanation DeMeco Ryans offered for punting there. It's giving up on the game at that point, which is disappointing. Tough game for them. Obviously, quarterback throws 4 interceptions in the first half. Your elite defense can't really do a whole lot to rescue you from that, although they tried in the second half. But yeah, I didn't get that. It's not like DeMeco Ryans' first playoff game. It's his 6th. It was surprising. What did I think about that was the question. That was during a point in the game where I'm transitioning from the press box down to the field level.
Yeah.
And I'm dropping my bag in like the media workroom there, and I look up like, wait, did they really just punt? Like that didn't make any sense. Like, how could you punt? Like you're done at that point.
You have to. I mean, so DeMeco Ryans must look at Caleb Williams' play and say, what did I do? What did I do? But meanwhile, I thought, and I made all these sorts of notes during the game, I thought New England should have been up by 25 points. And when they weren't, I thought they were going to lose. And when Houston, I believe, kicked a field goal the first possession in the second half, I thought they were going to lose because they were terrible on offense. They should have been up by so much, right?
And Houston's defense is so stifling and was so good. But yeah, the throw, it's the touchdown throw to Keyshawn Bouye. I mean, that was the one that changed it because Drake May is in the AFC Championship game and probably going to be in the Super Bowl. In 2 playoff games, he's taken 10 sacks and fumbled 6 times. Yeah. Like we've been talking about this if the game had gone the other way. And so they were not without their mistakes. They obviously were in a tough situation against the Houston defense, but he did make the plays he needed to make to win the game. Like, that was the definition of that. Yeah, 8 turnovers in that game, 5 by Houston, 3 by New England. It was ugly. It was wet. It was sloppy. But yeah, the difference is, of course, that May made more plays in a game where I would say neither quarterback could be possibly thrilled about the way they played. Stroud, first half was a catastrophe on a level that produced legitimate questions at halftime about, are you going to put David Mills in a playoff game?
Yes, I was going to ask that because that guy had won some games for you when Stroud was out.
Yeah, 3 of them. Yep, but Ryan said, no, we're sticking with our guy. Stroud did improve in the second half, but it was too late. And that offense, and look, they couldn't run it. They didn't have their best receiver. Their tight end was a big part of the game plan. I know that from talking to people pregame. He got hurt right away and didn't come back in the game. There are excuses that you could make, but Stroud has to be better even among all those excuses, and he knows that.
And I'll go to the other side. When people talk about Drake May as an MVP, you cannot isolate one game, particularly a game with bad weather. But the combination of Josh McDaniels and Drake May succeeded in having, 300 third and 12s. Like they had, right? They had no chance. They kept calling the same run on the first play, and they kept getting nothing. What?
Yeah, I mean, Houston's defense is no joke. And Ramondre Stevenson was out of that game for long stretches. He came back in the second half, which was key. But, you go into a game like that knowing you're going to be limited on offense, and you're just trying to minimize the damage. And obviously, when the other team turns it over 5 times, it changes everything. But, yeah, I mean, obviously MVP voting is, done after regular season before so this can't affect it. Yeah. And also, by the way, his main competition had a lousy game, too.
Terrible. Stafford. Terrible.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The fumbles are very concerning. He led the league in the regular season, and again 6 of which he's lost a couple so far in the playoffs. So they've got to get that cleaned up. Just like we were talking earlier in this conversation about his draft classmate has to get that completion percentage cleaned up.
So I will get you out of here. I know you got to go on television.
Yeah.
I think we both agree that New England is in a position to win against Denver because of what happened to Denver's starting quarterback. Who do you like in the other game? These are division rivals. This division, in case people don't know this division went 40-7 against the rest of the league, those top 3 teams. 40-7.
I believe is the first division ever with 3 12-win teams. This is the correct, unfortunately for Chicago fans and all of us who want to see Caleb Williams keep playing, this is the correct conclusion to the NFC season. These are the 2 best teams, have been all year. They played 2 extremely close games against each other. We all remember the second one, the Thursday night game, where Seattle picks up the ball in the end zone absent-mindedly and gets the 2-point conversion. So, if there's a team out there that can derail the Seattle team, it's obviously the one they're playing on Sunday night, so it should be fun. Stafford's got to be better. I mean, that Seattle defense is really scary good. The offense is running the ball better than it was in the first half of the season, which was their main weakness. No one's going to believe Seattle until they see them holding the trophy because of Darnold.
Like, same as Indiana. It's the same as Indiana.
Sure. So you can't be like it's Darnold. Like something's going to go wrong, right? Exactly. But so far it hasn't. And if he plays well, or if he just avoids mistakes, then that defense knows it can fluster Stafford and limit the Rams. And I guess I would take Seattle, though I don't have to pick till midweek. So I'm going to reserve the right to change my mind.
Thanks so much for being on Go Do TV. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Tony. Thanks, as always, for having me.
Dan Graziano, boys and girls, Georgetown Zone. We will come back with Pat 40. We will talk about Indiana against Miami tonight. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
This is Marshawn Beast Mode Lynch. Daily Fantasy Preview.
Let our team members Sephora.
Once again, this is Dana Denise. This is a song called To Say Goodbye. Beautiful, soft songs that she plays.
Yeah.
It's very lovely.
Great voice.
Michael, if people like Dana Denise want to send in their independent music to be played on the show, how do they go about it?
Send us your music by emailing it to jingles@TonyKornizersShow.com.
The song again is called To Say Goodbye, and Dana Denise plays in Pat 40, who's in Miami for the game tonight. I mean, just a sheer stroke of luck that Miami would be in the game and that they would play in this particular stadium all the time. But I would ask this to begin with. I mean, they're the last team in. How surprised are you that Miami's in the championship game?
Pretty surprised, quite frankly. I wasn't surprised they beat Texas A&M. I was shocked when they beat Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And then when Mississippi took out Georgia, okay, now the path is there. But all things considered, going to the last day, most people thought Miami was out and Notre Dame was in.
Yeah.
And then, it worked out the opposite way, which I think it should have because they beat Notre Dame head-to-head. But for it to work out, there is a lot of kismet involved in this championship game, Tony, between Miami barely getting in and making the run to Mount Play at home for the title, and Fernando Mendoza leaving Miami, where he grew up as a nobody, and coming home as the face of the sport.
Are you, if I had asked you this question in July, Would you have been more surprised that Indiana made the championship game or that Miami had made the championship game?
Oh boy, frankly, Miami. I will give Sports Illustrated a little bit of credit here. We ranked Miami number 10 coming into. I'm sorry, we ranked Indiana number 10 coming into the season, which was higher than anybody else did. When they got Mendoza, I thought they had a definite chance to be better than last year. I had seen him play at Cal and thought he was really good. They had so many other pieces coming back. And frankly, at one point, as we were putting together the rankings, we had Indiana as high as number 4, and we were like, "Oh, that's crazy. We can't do that." But then, as it turned out, we underrated them at number 4. So I really thought Indiana was going to have a great season. I was pretty sure Miami would have a great season, but I'm a little more surprised that Miami's here.
I will say, and I was very, very critical of the committee. I was one of those people who thought Notre Dame should be in. I understand head-to-head, but the head-to-head was in August, and there were like 80 games played after that. And so I thought Notre Dame should get in over Miami, but the committee actually looks smart. I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah, it's true. They took an absolute beating throughout the season. A lot of it deserved because they, had the nonsensical show where they contradict themselves on a weekly basis.
Yes.
And so, they set themselves up to be mocked every Tuesday night. But once the bracket came out and we started playing, it's like, oh, okay, they got it right. Congratulations, committee.
They did. What do you think took Curt Cignetti so long to become a head coach at a big place? I mean, for example, the University of Virginia and Virginia Tech, both of which knew him from James Madison, had multiple coaching changes. They never went to him. What took him so long?
Yeah, I mean, it's a profound failure by the college football industry who have not hired him sooner. Part of it is purely name brand. You're at James Madison. How good can that be? Having worked at lower levels before that at Elon and Indiana University, Pennsylvania. But the other thing, and some people have talked about this here, his personality is such that now, I mean, it's become kind of its own running joke, but for athletic directors who interviewed him, I think some of them thought, how am I going to sell this extreme, dead serious personality to our fan base? How's this guy going to sell tickets? Well, then he went to Indiana and obviously just turned into a showman, a Barnum and Bailey Parker when he got there, and it worked. So, I just think there was a really bad misevaluation of him and who he is and what he does so well by a lot of people.
Indiana is something like plus 374 in point differential this year. The number is so high that actually when you see it, you don't believe it, and you assume it must be a misprint. They have destroyed people. I mean, they didn't destroy Penn State, but they won, and they have destroyed just about everybody else. And with that as background and knowing Miami and what a program Miami has been over X amount of years, who do you think is going to win tonight?
I think Indiana. I'll be quite surprised if Indiana loses. And frankly, quite dismayed as a fan of fun stories to write.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody that this would be like Smarty Jones losing to Belmont if Indiana loses this. Like, it has been such a fairy tale ride. And it needs to finish the right way. And they're so close, and they have been so good, as you mentioned. They kill people. I don't think they're going to kill Miami. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think Indiana will win by like 10 points. This is not going to look like Indiana-Oregon or Indiana-Alabama, I don't think. But I still expect the Hoosiers to win. I think they're just a complete team. Well, go ahead and find a weakness for me. We'll see if Miami has discovered one that they can exploit.
Yeah, I can't stress this enough as a former sports writer. The right story is Indiana winning. It will be looked back upon if they win as one of the greatest seasons of all time because Indiana has been so bad for so long, right? There's nobody sitting in that press box, nobody who thinks Miami winning is the better story, right?
absolutely not, unless you write for the Miami Herald.
Right.
That's it. Everybody else wants to see this thing finish up and come full circle and have, this. You mentioned the coach who didn't get a big-time job till he was 62.
Yeah.
The quarterback who nobody wanted to recruit and looked like he was going to go to Yale. The number of transfers who played at James Madison. I mean, it's preposterous. And it's Indiana. Like, if you put all those elements combined at Auburn, it would still be a heck of a story, but Auburn's been good. Indiana's never been good. And so if Indiana becomes the first team to go 16-0 since the 1800s, I mean, it's preposterous.
Yeah. I wanted to mention this. I mentioned it early in the show. The NFL, the bye teams went 2-0. In 2 years, the bye teams in college have gone 1-7. That has to be changed. You cannot let people sit out for 30 days, right? They have to do something. If they probably should. They probably will. The best thing they could do is have the bye teams have a home game and play the quarterfinals at home, and then you're going to get the advantage of rest, preparation, and a home field crowd. Right.
I think that stat is a little bit misleading, because if you go back to the first year, 2024, Boise State shouldn't have gotten the bye and been in that position. Arizona State shouldn't have gotten the bye and been in that position. So those weren't upsets. And even this year, there were, some of the bye teams were underdogs. So, I don't look at that and say it's after 2 years. I think we need a little more evidence that the bye is absolutely a disadvantage.
I wanted to get to one other fairly large issue here, which you will know about. The quarterback at Ole Miss is suing to come back to college. At some point, someone is going to try to play in college till they're 45 years old, like Phillip Rivers. It's just, what is going on here? What is the rule? What do you expect to happen? How many years? And I understand it. It's money. There's money. But how many years can you reasonably expect to play in college?
See, this is one where I think, as often happens in college sports, Tony, people want to push the envelope until it breaks, and eventually you just turn people off and tick people off.
Right.
Because, to your point, nobody wants to see a bunch of full-grown 30-year-old adults out there playing football. And college is a window of time in your life. I mean, there's some people, I guess, that go to college forever. But to play college athletics should be a finite window. And then, like everyone else, you leave and go get a job. And if you're good enough to get a job in the NFL, great. And if you're not, there's a lot of other lines of work out there. So, and I don't think there's a lot of sympathy for Trinidad Chambliss. He's, trying to get an injury waiver for an injury that was not very well documented. The problem with the NCAA, they have too many waivers for too many things. And in these cases, the eligibility cases, they're scared to death that the courts are going to rule and say this is restraint of trade. These guys are actually employees. You need to treat them as employees. And then all of a sudden we're in that employee-employer relationship which they have tried strenuously to avoid because they think it'll bankrupt everybody.
Didn't I read last week that they're going to 9 games for a medical red shirt? You're allowed to play 9 games and red shirt?
That is a proposal by the coaches. We'll see where that goes with the suits that make the rules. But that's another way where people are trying to avoid, people saying, I didn't get to play enough. I need another year. So.
Well, the only reason they're saying it now is for money, because they get paid a lot of money to stay in college. It leads me to, I think, the question that everybody has: does the NCAA really exist? Is there a body out there that actually makes rules that people adhere to?
There is a body out there that actually makes rules. Whether people adhere to them is the question.
Right.
The rules have been trampled to the point where it's very difficult to know what's enforceable and what isn't. And anything that basically comes down to money and getting paid and, what the parameters of that, how long you can get paid, how many schools you can go to. The NCAA has been backed into a corner with a bayonet in its chest and said, try us by the courts. We will shoot you down again.
This is what it feels like. It feels like there are the NCAA, which was abusive to players for 10,000 years, now has absolutely no power at all. I mean, if you ask me who's the most powerful person in college football, I'd probably tell you it was, the chancellor of Alabama or something like that. Just because it doesn't seem like anyone is really paying attention to the NCAA. It doesn't seem that way, right? It doesn't seem.
Yeah, it's the most powerful person in college athletics is Greg Sankey at the SEC. Yeah. Those are the people that have the most power, and they can't all agree on things. They can't get it right either. So, we have a terrible power vacuum in college sports. And you know what happened? Nature abhors a vacuum. So everybody is rushing in to try to capitalize for their own benefit, and nobody's thinking about what's best for the whole enterprise.
If Trinidad Chambliss gets a 6th here, he'll get a 7th and an 8th. He will. You'd keep playing. I think Carson Beck's 40 years old. I think it might be. I think they're close. All right, plug your podcast for us.
Happy to do so. Others receiving votes on Sports Illustrated, SI.com. You can get it, YouTube, Apple, etc. We will have a podcast Tuesday, wrapping up the national championship.
Sure. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks, Pat.
You bet, Tony. Thank you.
Pat 40, boys and girls. We will take a break, come back with email and jingle. I am Tony Kornheiser.
Get Internet Plus Mobile from Comcast.
Kornheiser Show.
Here comes Tony's mailbag. Gonna read some faxes and your news. Here comes Tony's mailbag. Gonna read some for all you folks. Gonna read some for all of your folks.
Tom Mosser, backed up by Dan Byrne. Just wonderful beyond words. You want to do the Bethesda Bagel ad, please?
Bagel sandwiches today. Always excited about that. Just go to BethesdaBagels.com for the location in the D.C. area nearest you, and pop on in, and you'll be thrilled.
Before we get to the mailbag, let me just say I am just a poor boy, though my story is seldom told. I have squandered my resistance for a pocket full of mumbles, such are promises. All lies and jests till the man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. The brilliant Paul Simon. The song is called The Boxer. Our thanks to our guests today, Dan Graziano and Pat 40. Thanks as well to today's sponsors. Remember, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Odyssey. Get the show through Apple. Please leave us a review. So now we have advice here from a letter carrier from Robert Tips in Tullahoma, Tennessee. It would be remiss of me if I did not acknowledge how much I appreciate your podcast with a 38-mile commute each day. For years, I've enjoyed listening to your thoughts and discussions, as well as the occasional guests you welcome. After listening to your episode concerning your lost check, I felt compelled to offer my insight as a 30-year USPS employee. Letter envelopes make multiple passes on multiple sorting machines, which at times can cause the mail piece to be processed incorrectly, delayed, or unfortunately damaged. When mailing content such as a check or important documents, I recommend mailing them in a larger envelope, such as a 10.5 by 16 utility mailer. Postage to this envelope with just a check and correspondence enclosed would only be $1.90, and I feel mailing it this way would lessen the chances of the mail piece not being delivered. Hope this information helps. Yeah, but I don't do that on regular checks. I do that on tax checks and stuff that I think is really important. I got 8 or 9, 10 bills a month, and I don't usually do it.
On the other side, are you having issues with letters arriving at your house damaged? Because every piece of mail that we get has been tampered with.
Yeah, just
cut at the corners to see if there is a check.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I haven't
just
noticed
to see what's
that.
inside.
Oh, I haven't noticed that. Kevin Burke, who's the founder of Big Nose Kate Whiskey.
Big fan.
Can we read this on the air?
Yes.
On Wednesday's pod, I was thrilled to hear that Mr. Tony's enjoying Big Nose Kate Western Whiskey during these cold nights. I'm dying to know more about the small sips consumption process mentioned, if willing to share. Sips from the bottle? No, regular glass, just very, very small. An ounce.
Yes,
honestly, an ounce.
From the bottle.
You asked what exactly defines a Western whiskey. Is it an actual category or style? A few answers for you. Western whiskey is not a legal category like Scotch, bourbon, or American single malt. It is a regional craft descriptor that evokes the regions where the whiskey is created and a unique taste or style, similar to New England IPA, for example. Big Nose Kate Western Whiskey is legally defined as an American blended whiskey. The final product is a blend of rye and American single malt, a first-of-its-kind blend. Kate is not a bourbon and it has no corn in the blend. Since you both mentioned the whiskey's namesake as being Doc Holliday's girlfriend, I offer up this additional fun nugget for my fellow Littles. Big Nose Kate got her nickname not because of the size of her sniffer, but because she was known to stick her nose in everyone's business. I welcome any Littles who find themselves in Santa Fe to come visit or drop me an email if you want to use the code. Thanks for the kind words.
That's great.
From Sean Bach. It's an absolute pleasure. He is from Jenny's Ice Cream.
Oh, yes.
Right. It's our absolute pleasure. I've been a fan since Tony was on ESPN Radio way back when he took callers and banned them for asking how you
Banned from the Tony Kornheiser
I was
Show.
hooked from there, and I was so happy when you launched the podcast. The show and its different formats seriously have been a great source of entertainment for me on a weekly basis. When I heard we were launching a new coffee flavor, I made it my mission to get over to all of you. Yeah, so we're happy to get
Liz will respond to this email.
From Mark, he offers more ice cream even. From Mark DeFlorio in Snoqualmie, Washington.
Not familiar with.
Snoqualmie. I hope I pronounced that right. While I have not met an astronaut firsthand, a friend of mine was a mission controller during the Apollo era. He knew all of our famous astronauts, and his stories leave you feeling like you knew them too. His name is Richard Stachersky, and he manned the network console at Mission Control in Houston. I asked him once about the coolest piece of memorabilia he has. He pondered this for a second, then replied, I think it has to be the Medal of Freedom President Nixon gave all of us after successfully getting Apollo 13.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yep. Wow. Everybody smoked back then, so pretty sure his matchbook collection was a close second. That's funny. From Stevie Vrorum. In December 1969, I was in the Air Force as a co-pilot on a giant C-130. We were flying as the backup airplane for the Bob Hope tour. About 10 o'clock at night, the show at Udorn Air Base was over. Myself and the loadmaster, Ralph Folger, went out on the ramp to see if we could shake hands with some of the tour. We walked past Bob Hope, Connie Stevens, Johnny Bench, and approached Neil Armstrong. We said, sir, can we shake your hand? He said, of course. A great moment for us being in the Air Force. Upon return to the aircraft, we tried to sell handshakes to the rest of the crew for $1, and there were no takers. To this day, I consider it one of the great moments of my life at 80. Rick Whitmore, my sister-in-law's cousin, was a space shuttle astronaut. We had a family trip to Houston to see my in-laws. They arranged for Sam Gamar, hope I pronounced that correctly, to take us on a backstage tour of the Lyndon B. Johnson Space Center. My then elementary school kids got to sit in the cockpit of a simulator. Sam showed us all of the training and work it takes to be an astronaut. Incredibly great to my kids. From Chaplain Colonel Chuck Seligman in San Antonio, Texas, as the official unofficial Air Force chaplain for the Tony Kornheiser Show, I'm reporting in about my astronaut encounter. In early 2024, my higher headquarters called to ask for information on conducting funerals for high-level people. When I asked what they had, they told me a general officer in Oklahoma who was also an astronaut had passed away. They needed help. I asked if it was Tom Stafford. They said yes. I told them General Stafford was a friend of our family, and I grew up with autographed pictures from him on the dresser that inspired me through my life and my career. And then they asked if I would conduct the service, and I quickly said yes. Wow, it's amazing. Everybody knows astronauts.
Yeah.
Steve the Sycophant. Here's my close proximity to astronauts contribution. My 2 younger sons attended Neil Armstrong Elementary School in Western Virginia, kindergarten through 6th grade, and my wife and I vote at Buzz Aldrin Elementary in Reston. Finally, I sat right on a couch on July 20th, 1969, and watched Neil and Buzz walk on the moon on my own TV set. How much closer can you get? We all did the same thing. Earl Brewer, men's lacrosse coach, Coastal Carolina University. I've never met an astronaut, and I've never been to Spain, but I kind of like the music. Boy, Jeannie McManus just gagged. From Jonathan Shapinsky in Beltsville, Maryland. Well, I haven't met an astronaut. I've had their ice cream. Let's just say it's no Tillamook.
Oh, yeah, the freeze-dried ice cream.
Is that an astronaut ice cream?
I remember every museum trip as a kid.
Yeah, I'm going to the Air and Space Museum. I got to get that, and it's just not great.
John Molino, Fredericksburg, Virginia. As Lieutenant Colonel in the Army assigned to legislative liaison in the late 80s and early 90s, I had the privilege of escorting Army leaders to Capitol Hill for many meetings with Senator John Glenn, always struck by his modesty and humility and the respect he showed to his visitors, even to this kid from Brooklyn who had no business being in the presence of an American hero. By the way, John Molino is a novelist. His latest novel is called Broken. He's the author of 6 other suspense-filled novels. Broken. Neil Airvase, with great trepidation, I fear a future opening in which Tony reports that he received a bill from Sherman Oil for an amount greater than his prepaid charge. When he calls his new friend at the business office, he's informed that they never received his check for the prepayment, and now it is too far into the season to implement the modified payment plan. Of course, inasmuch as Mr. Kornheiser has been such a loyal customer, they will waive the late fee for the monthly payment he has missed if he will make that payment online. They got the checks.
They did.
They got them.
It's all set.
Called up. Yeah. Rob Lowe, but not that Rob Lowe, in Orange County, California. For someone who regularly denounces 21st century technology when paying bills, you certainly have an inordinate amount of issues paying via check. It's almost as if the world is trying to make your life easier and you're fighting them tooth and nail. I say keep up the good fight. If nothing else, it provides littles with weekly entertainment. By the way, I love Chuck Todd's reasoning for the Indiana-Miami spread being too high. If the Indiana game had not been a blowout, and if the Miami game had been a blowout, then the spread would be much lower. That's right, Chuck. And if my grandmother had wheels, she would be a bicycle. Wayne Chandler. Dear Tony, I'm penning this from the Waffle House here in Jacksonville Beach. I thoroughly enjoy listening to your rants about your struggles with technology. It makes me feel so much better about myself. I feel compelled to relate my dealings with a recent issue that befell me. For 25 years, we've had a washing machine that was as dependable as the sunrise. However, the person I'm related to by marriage was unhappy with its appearance. It was scarred from all the years and was indeed an eyesore. It was particularly embarrassing when we held dinner parties in the laundry room. That's funny. Enter the brand new Maytag smart washer with a handy dandy app on your phone. You now have the capability to start your washer remotely. The problem is I did not graduate from Caltech. Trying to sync the machine with my phone almost broke me. I quit when the aforementioned partner pointed out that I'm not a regular participant in the laundry process anyway. Chastened, I decided to seek the comfort of my local pub. Imagine my surprise when turning on my Subaru, a message flashed that my Forester was successfully synced to my Maytag. How the hell did that happen? When I turn left, does that start the rinse cycle? Scary thoughts. Anyway, keep the rants coming from Wayne Chandler. He wants to be the Luddite of the Tony Kornheiser show.
I think we got one, yes.
From Steve Matthews in Rockville, Maryland. I used to watch Bowling for Dollars growing up in Los Angeles, but only because our local version was hosted by Chick Hearn, longtime radio voice of the Lakers, and my 2 cents on the importance of using the metric system of measurements. 1,000 whales equals 1 orca. Okay.
That's a new
From Adam
system.
Blaney in Athens, Ohio. I ate a Cara orange for breakfast today. Please tell Kip. And from Alan of Norwegian Soft Kitten. Hey there, Hot Bagel. Can you do a brother a solid? This is Alan from NSK, and I've now heard the Japanese middle school guitar group play their version of the jingle twice. It's become obvious to me that if I can convince one of these kids to join NSK to take Glenn's place, it'd be a huge upgrade for the band. With this in mind, if you want to share the email address for the Japanese middle school with me, that would be fabulous. Glenn has been a total chump the last few weeks, and we're mixing our new album. And his guitar playing remains staggeringly subpar, so NSK, Norwegian Soft Kitten, would be much better off with a 13-year-old Japanese kid as our guitarist instead of Glenn. Keep rocking it, brother. If you're out on your bike tide, everyone, as always, do wear white.
Excuse me. Can I help you? Well, I'm here to pick up my date. Could you ring Fawn Leibowitz for me?
I didn't know.
All right, we got 2 minutes left before the episode's going to cut out. We made it all the way across Puerto Rico. I'm not sure what this island is here, this small island, but we're about to continue on through the Caribbean. I will let you know what islands we are, well, what island this is, and what islands we will get to next on the next episode. Before this episode cuts out, I can't remember if I talked about it at the beginning or not, but it is Friday, January 26th, right? As I record this, 23rd. Friday, January 23rd. So tomorrow, my undefeated Nebraska Cornhuskers at 19-0 take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers in Minneapolis. Could be our first loss, but if we were to win that, we would be undefeated going into a game with top 5 rated Michigan next Tuesday. And this episode is, of course, going to come out tonight, Friday, January 23rd. Our next episode, if anyone actually watches this other than me, is going to be coming out Monday night. So it'll be the night before the Nebraska-Michigan game. So that's a big deal for me. And then, of course, the AFC and NFC championship games are on Sunday. We've got basketball, college basketball on. We've got Premier League soccer. We got NBA, all that stuff. But that is what's going on right now in the sports world. And, of course, we stay away from news because it's fairly depressing. Has been for quite some time. But, yeah. So that's what's going on in the world. I'm about to hit pause here as the episode is going to end. Can't quite read what it says over there. Can't quite read what it says up ahead, but we're past Puerto Rico. We're going to fly down until we hit South America, then come right back up and fly on the northern side of all these islands. I think that's my plan. It's subject to change, but anyway, we've got 8 seconds left, so I'm going to go ahead and hit pause, and we'll see you in the next episode.